Hello fellow Clashers, welcome to another episode of Challenge Winning Decks. Today we're going to be taking a look at a deck that was made by Stratty in Son of a Witch, which he was able to take clear to the end of a challenge and win that 12th round. That replay will be included in this video as well. Before we get started on this video guide, I wanted to just thank you all so much for your support. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you stay tuned and for my 1,000 subscriber Q&A video that I'll be doing. And if you haven't subscribed, I would just love it if you supported the channel. That being said, I would also encourage you to go check out my Kairos Coaches series. It's got some really great content in there and regarding how people can improve in the game. And I think it's a great series, very unique, that no other YouTuber is doing right now. So you'll want to check that out. Let's go ahead and get started. So in this deck, we have a lot of interesting cards that take a little practice to make work out together. First of all, we have the 3 Musketeers. They are such a strong card. If you can catch your opponent off guard without a spell to clear them, they will be in deep trouble. They'll be thinking super hard to try and figure out some type of a counter. The majority of the time, you'll want to be splitting them behind your King's Tower so that they're not so easy targets. But you can also use your 3 Musketeers at the bridge or even in the middle of the arena if you know your opponent does not have a good way to clear them. The Mirror is a great card with its most recent buff. The Mirror is making its way into a lot of different decks. I love that it's actually usable right now. You're going to want to mirror mostly the Spear Goblins, maybe even a Knight, or go for a double Miner push to really confuse your opponent if you're needing some last second chip damage. So the Mirror is definitely great. Now if you want to switch that out, you can switch it out for the Ice Spirit, Goblins, even the Inferno Tower for his little bit more added defense, or the Minions as well. The next card is the Legendary Miner. Now I know that not everybody has the Miner, and I would love to put in some type of an alternative for the Miner, but honestly, this deck just needs the Miner. It's so good at countering things like the Elixir Collector at the beginning of the match, or even using him as a mini tank to protect other cards so that you can get some good chip damage on a tower, or even just straight up take a tower like we're doing right there. Now, the Log is another legendary card. You can definitely switch the Log out for Zap if you have it. Also, the Log is great right now because it does does push back large troops like Giants or even P.E.K.K.A.s, even Princes, not the Princess. The Knight is another great card in here, very underrated card. I think that people should be using the Knight a lot more because people aren't super comfortable with how to defend against the Knight, and he's great for a lot of situations like defending against miners or even tanking some damage, or in this deck, being used as a pseudo tank in front of a lone Musketeer after doing a Musketeer split. The Spear Goblins are a great card right here. You see us right now doing a kind of a split push with that Miner, getting rid of that Elixir Collector with those Goblins, doing some damage on the towers. A great card, good to use, and also really great zap bait, especially when you're going to be mirroring those Spear Goblins right afterwards. So overall, great card to add in here. You could switch them out for the regular Minion or the regular Goblins. However, I do recommend the Spear Goblins with this combination. Now, the Minion Horde in this deck is a very strong defense against the giant Mega Minion combo that we're seeing a lot of right now. You have to be very careful about where you place them so that they're not so easily poisonable along with the tower. That being said, you're going to want to place them a little bit further back, or maybe even in the middle, the front and middle side of your side of the arena, so that it draws out that Mega Minion and then they can go and clear back the giant. Another great way to use them, right, as you can see right here in this replay, is to try and take out towers with that Miner as a distraction. You'll see right there that our opponent was not able to drop a good enough defense against that, and here we've got the 3 Musketeers that are able to clear out that Lava Hound and that Balloon Push as well. The Elixir Collector is the last card in here. Now, the Elixir Collector is a very great card to be using in a lot of different decks. If you don't want to be using the Elixir Collector, you can switch it out for the Ice Spirits for some extra versatility. And you can just see that the Elixir Collector is so good. Right here I've got 2 plums. Now, I did mirror that Elixir Collector. I wouldn't always recommend doing that, but sometimes that's okay to do. Just kind of depends on the situation. Now, this deck has so many different pushes and is so strong because of that. It's going to keep your opponent on their toes at all times, and if you can do it just right, you can easily 3-crown your opponent just like I did right there. Now we're going to be watching the challenge-winning deck that Stratty was able to get. Now he's playing against a Hog Cycle deck, a pretty strong one that does include that Inferno Tower, which is an important card to be using right now, especially with how popular Giants are. That being said, if you want a good, strong Hog Cycle deck, this would be a good one to use in the ladder as well. Now, one of the great pushes that you can use in this deck is the simple split push. Now, this involves the 3 Musketeers being split behind the King's Tower or in the middle of your map as a defense when you know your opponent can't clear them with some type of a spell, and then placing the Miner in front of the single Musketeer, and then also being ready with the log behind the 2 Musketeers on the opposite side. You'll want that log there because your opponent is going to be mostly worried about those 2. And if they play something like a Valkyrie or a Mini P.E.K.K.A, that log is great for pushing that further back so that those Musketeers have a greater chance of making it to the tower. Now you see Stratty using there, that log is a great way to defend against pushes like this. You'll want to be a little bit more liberal on using the log defensively when you're playing against somebody with cycle decks like this, because the log has such great utility in regards to defending. Another great push that you can do is the Miner Spear Goblin push. This is pretty simple. You can place the Miner on any tile surrounding the enemy tower, except for the one that is most center and middle to the arena. If you place it there, then both towers will aggro it, and sometimes that is a good situation if you want to try and defend on both sides. Maybe you have a mirrored combination where you have those Spear Goblins mirrored on both sides. You can definitely do that as well. The Minion Horde split combo is a fun one to do. It involves the Knight, the Miner, and the Minion Horde. It's best done once you've used the Knight on defense, and especially works well if you know that your opponent does not have a way to clear a lot of air troops. This is done by placing the Minion Horde in the middle of the map so that they split into 2 different groups. One group with the 2 minions and the other group with the 4 minions. You'll want to place the Miner at the tower in front of one of the minion groups, and you'll place the Knight in front of the other side as well. By doing that, you're going to make it very difficult for your opponent to counter because they're not familiar with defending 2 different sides with split minion pushes. It's a very powerful combination. You won't be using it all the time, but by using that, you have a great way to take your opponent off guard. Now, this deck does have a little bit of a difficult time playing against giant poison decks. Now, I know that is one of the most common decks that are being used right now, so it takes some skill. Just make sure that you're rushing the other lane, and if you can do that successfully, then your opponent's not going to be able to stand a chance against you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you learned something from this video and was able to take something from it. Please leave some comments in the section below. I love hearing your comments. I read all of them. Even though I'm not able to respond to all of them, I do read all of your comments. So feel free to leave any suggestions, feedback, whatever you can do. Thank you so much for checking this out. This is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in the arena.